Hey guys, welcome to the Forge Tabletop. Today we have a rematch of the Thousand Sons versus the Imperial Guard. So, we took our advice from the last game, so let's go ahead and check out the armies.
Yes, and like the video if you like the video, share if you want to share, comment if you want to comment, and more to come. Alright, so for today I am bringing Infantry Guard. Nothing but infantry. So first off, my warlord is somewhere. It is this guy, no, this person, Acadian Commander, and he has Drill Commander with basically critical hits on 5 for his squad. Then I have an additional Acadian Commander as well, and the squad has Vox, Medipack, and Melt-A-Gun, Last Gun, and of course the characters have Plasma Pistol, Power Fists, and such. Then I also have Death Corps Marshal, which apparently is a Forge World model. I didn't know that because it's in the list with Battle Scribe. So, yeah. But it gives 5 up Feel No Pains to his squad. Did not know that. That's actually really good. And then we have Platoon Command Squads. These guys basically just have Regimental Standard, they have Medipack, and of course someone has a Melt-A-Gun, I believe. Yeah, one Melt-A-Gun, and the guy has a Power Fist and Plasma Pistol. So that's what we're dealing with. Ah, shoot. Alright, and then after that, we have Regimental Preachers. So they give sustained hits to a squad. And now into the groups. So we have 2 of each type. So we have 2 units of Catachan Jungle Fighters with the Voxcaster and... Should I pull up what they have? Yes, they have Voxcaster, they have 4 Flamers, and that's about it. The Sergeants just have the same stuff everyone else has except the last pistol. And then we move on to a regular infantry squad, which has, they have 2 sergeants each. They have 2 Melt-A-Guns inside Voxcaster, and that's it. Sergeant has Plasma Pistol and Power Weapon. Then we have the Shock Troops, which is the Acadian troops. Acadians, on the other hand, they have 13 regular infantry. The sergeants have Last Pistol, Chainsword. They have 2 Flamers, 2 Melt-A-Guns, and a Voxcaster. Then we have, of course, Death Corps of Krieg, which is a bit tougher, sort of. So these guys have Medipack, 2 Melt-A-Guns, 2 Plasma Guns. Their Watchmasters have Power Weapon and Plasma Pistols, and 13 regular guys. Surprisingly, these are very strong infantry compared to everything else because they regenerate at D3 models like every turn, and they get buffs to hit and wound based on how many casualties they get. After that, then moving on, we have Bullgrins, a Bullygrin squad of Boneheads with Brute Shield and Bullgrin Maw, so basically a 4-up invuln and like Strength 7 weapons. Then we have an Ogrin squad, which has some pretty good shooting actually, and both squads have Feel No Pains naturally. Then I have 3 heavy weapons teams, all having mortars, pretty nice. And then to fill out the list, I have 2 units of Rattling Snipers. Oh, and I did forget a few things. I have also brought Iron Hand Strachan as well, and Sly Marbo. And that's all that I have. I have over 160 some infantry, I'm not even bothered counting it, and that is exactly 2,000 points.
Right, you guys. So, we decided to do this rematch, so I was like, well, what was my advice the last time I played them? So I listened to it, because I obviously don't remember what it was at the time. And I was like, okay, cool. So big baddies, less little guys. So I took some big boys. So this time I actually decided to try Magnus. I don't usually like Primarchs because I feel like they really they're kind of like what the list builds around. I don't know if I actually did that with Magnus though, because he's not a lot of like radial buffs. He's just kind of like predominantly just like I beat stuff up and I shoot it and I melt it with my face. So I took Magnus, figured I'd give him a go. Now, I took 1 small squad of Scarab Occult Terminators. They're not really like the big anchor point. At least the last game, they weren't really useful in that sense. So I only took a squad of 5 this time, and I took 1 squad of 10 cultists. They're kind of just like objective sitters and, whatever. Mm-hmm. after that, I tried some different things. Well, except the Chaos Spawn. So I have a squad of 2 Chaos Spawn. Again, just objective things. And I actually decided to try the Zangors, the Zangor Enlightened. And they have a shaman with them. Now, these guys have the great bows. Now, these great bows have 30-inch range, but they also have precision. So they can actually sit back and actually pick off characters, which is, I guess, convenient this time. I didn't really know what he was taking other than guard, but I wanted to give them a go. Their combat wasn't super great, so I was like, well, their bows seem okay. So I figured I'd give them a go. They seem pretty mobile. Now, behind that, I have 3 Defilers, all with the same loadout. Las Cannon, Inferno Combi, whatever, and the Scourge, and obviously their usual cannon. So they'll be able to do a little bit of combat, a little bit of shooting, and behind them is 3 of the Vortex Beasts. So the Defilers and the Vortex Beasts were last game was really what did all the heavy lifting for the list. So that I decided to try and just take 3 of each and see what happens. Now he doesn't have a vehicle list this time, so we'll see how we go. But anyway, so that's my list. Took a bunch of advice from last time and wanted to try 1 or 2 different things. And this is 5 points shy of 2,000 points.
So for the mission for today, Hammer and Anvil, which is funny because I am the Hammer of the Emperor. And Vox Static, which doggone it. All right.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to come back to bite you the most.
Maybe. And then the Ritual, which I'm not going to bother reading here, but you can see it on the screen. And that is our mission. Alright, so for secondaries, I, the Imperial Guard, have chosen Bring It Down, because of all the monsters and vehicles they have, which is most his army, and Cleanse, because the mission allows me to create my objectives. I essentially could possibly game the system right here. And yeah, that's me. What about you? What do you got?
Well, I chose Assassination because you have like 8 billion characters, so I figured it just makes sense.
I have
Then
1, 2,
they're not, like,
3,
tough
4,
characters.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes.
Yeah, so it should be relatively easy to at least get one per turn. I guess we'll find out, but and then engage on all fronts.
Pretty bold of you to assume you can walk through me.
Well, I do have some pretty like killy units, so I thought, I don't know. I really don't know.
This has never worked. Engage on all fronts has never worked.
That is true.
Every game, we
However,
always think that this is going to be the game. It's going to be different. It's never been the case.
well, because all the objectives have to be placed in no man's land, I figure that means we're all going to be like, you know, pretty aggressively in the middle area, and engage on all fronts actually fits for a good chunk of the middle. So I figure, you know, I'm trying to save my own, I'm trying to take you off of your own, or at least just kill you in general. So I don't know. We'll see. We will see.
Indeed.
So yeah, those are my, because I wanted Assassination because it's so straightforward, but then, you know, you have to pick another static one, and I was like, well, you know, they're not good. So I was like, what? So I guess really Engage on all fronts was really more of a backup, but I thought I could do it, so.
Alright then. For deployment, my opponent lost the roll-off and had to deploy his unit first. But as for me, as for the guard, I pretty much ignored everything he was doing except to kind of put most of my guys where I think the most of his resistance is. So essentially, here's what happened. I was mostly focusing on trying to fit my guys in. The only time I did anything tactical was with my heavy weapons team, to place them completely out of any form of line of sight. 2 of them on the top, and 2 squads, 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom, completely out of line of sight. They have 40-inch range. They're screeners, just in case, and then the 1 squad in the middle holding the objective and also a screening as well. And they're just going to be able to shoot pretty much anywhere on the board. So that's done. Once that is done, then the rest was just me trying to desperately fit everything in, make sure all my guns for the correct squad were in the front because they're short range. All the heavy weapons they have are like 12 inches, except for the plasma guns. So I was basically reorganizing the squads because TTS does have some issues with that. It just scrambles them everywhere. So I just had them set up and just trying to fit them in. Maybe I should have had 1 unit in reserves, Probably should have. And that's pretty much it. And Sly Marbo put it up front as infiltrators. And that was it for me. What about you?
Well, I didn't really make that many choices. Basically, I just kind of spread stuff out. So Magnus, I kept with the Vortex Beasts. The Defilers, I kept on one side as a trio. I put my, Chaos Spawn and Terminators in the middle. And then my other unit, like the Cultists, were behind the Defilers, hiding, as are the Zangor Enlightens. They're just kind of chilling out back. So I basically just spread everything out kind of evenly. So yeah, I didn't really have much of a plan. I kind of assume most of my stuff will be okay for at least one turn for them to actually be able to do something. I obviously don't know for sure, but...
Yeah, I don't know one either.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of shooting, and I roll really bad, so I'm just going to have a whole bunch of ones. Anyway, yeah, so I didn't have much of a plan. I didn't need to be as careful with my deployment because I had plenty of space. So yeah.
So, who goes first? Who goes second? I currently have no idea. That's pretty much it. I got nothing. I have no idea about anything. I don't know what I can do. Yeah, I really don't know what's going to happen. If I go first, take objective, start some clans, spawn an objective here or here, take positions up and prepare for whatever on Earth you're going to do. If I go second, I'm just going to be responding to what you do and try to cleanse what I can. And that is pretty much it for me if I go first or second. What about you?
Yeah, so I don't know. I really don't know what to expect from like 1,000 guardsmen. So going first will probably do better for me because it'll give me chance to soften stuff up before you get a chance to shoot. But other than that, I'm not super worried about it, Not in I think other than me just getting a round off to shoot before, that's really the only thing I have for going first. Because other than that, I'm not in terrible positions. I don't know what kind of range your guns have, but yeah, I'm not super worried about either or. If I go second, you would have moved, I assume, so I'll have an even better chance to shoot at stuff. Maybe even a couple of charges, I don't know. So yeah, I think either is good for me.
So while you did the count, I actually did it in my head. I have 213 men right now. 213 models.
That's a lot of models, dude. Ah, poop.
3. Oh, I go first. All right. Guard turn 1. So, my turn. So, first, we did have scouts back and forth. It's pre-game. So, my Katachan got to go first. Red squad, I think green squad moved up. Then his cultist moved up. And then my jungle fighters moved up their 6 inches after that. So, in the command phase, when giving orders, everyone got the order, take cover, improving everyone's save by 1. After that, then only the blue squad, the blue guardsmen, received the order move, 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 which basically means that they got an extra 3 inches to their movement. And then it was the difficult job of trying to move everyone forward. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, we'll see what happens. So first, tactical stuff. The green squad started doing cleanse on the center objective, and the blue guardsman squad started doing stuff on the to create an objective. So they created one in the middle of the other two, within 9 inches of the home objective. 9 inches away from the home objective and more than 6 inches away than the others. All right, after that happened, then I just had all my mortars mag dump the cultists and blew up 5 of them. And then also I had my plasma gun, my Death Corps of Kriegs, their plasma gun, and fire at the Mutilus Vortex Beast. Did nothing, and then a bunch of last guns fired him. 1 wound went through. The Rattling Snipers also shot at it and did nothing. And then after they shoot, they get to move. And so they move back into cover. And that was the shooting phase and my turn. Not much for the first turn, but yeah, 2 points. So I got 2 points back and from cleansing the center. And that's it. And we'll see what happens.
All right, you guys. So for the command phase, my army swapped, or not swapped. They kindred sorcery that's activated with Psychic Maelstrom, giving sustained hits to psychic weapons, which basically is just Magnus. As well as Magnus activated his Red Crimson King ability, Time Flux, giving units within 6 inches of him 2-inch movement, which was basically the Vortex Beasts, so they could all run in and bully the small guardsmen. After that was movement phase, and basically everything moved forward. My top defiler ran, but he rolled a 1, so you can see he's just barely ahead of the other two because he was lazy. And yeah, that was basically the movement phase. He overwatched his green squad in the middle over on my Scarab Occult Terminators, doing 1 wound. Because they had no armor penetration, it was basically 2s, so it was long odds for him.
And because I had an officer in there and a Vox caster, basically on a 4-up after I target a unit with a stratagem, I got 1 CP back, and that was the movement phase.
All right, you guys. So for the shooting phase, I started with my Mutolith Vortex Beast, the blue and the pink one. I think it's pink. Shooting at his red squad, they were able to kill some of them, 6 of them. Then the green Mutolith Vortex Beast shot the Flamer at the orange squad because he could, killing 3 of them. One. He killed 1 of them because the Flamer was the wrong choice. I should have went with the Blast because it was a squad of 20. Lesson for the future. Then Magnus took his turn at the blue squad. He actually was able to kill 8 of them with his big angry eyes staring at them, all googly-eyed. And then the Scarab Occult Terminators took their shots at the red Catachans, killing off 6 of them. Who are these? Wrong people. Killing 5 of the... Wait, did they kill anyone?
Who'd you say?
The Terminators on the...
Oh, they killed a bunch of the red. Yeah.
Oh, they're over here. That's why. Okay, so my bad. 2, 4, 6, 7 of them. And then the Defiler started shooting. Orange Defiler shot at the orange squad, killing off 3 of them, and white Defiler shot at the green squad, killing off 5 of them. And that was the shooting phase.
It's surprising how tough and durable the guardsmen are with cover and with the order for +1 save, and the feel no pains help.
You guys, so I started with the easy charges. I started with Magnus into the red guys. He got in quite easily. Then I went with the orange Defiler into the green guys, and he got in just enough. And then the white Defiler charged his orange squad, and he actually failed that one by about 1.5 inches. However, due to the mission, the reroll is 2 command points, and I did not want to spend that here. So he's just sitting on the sidelines being fat. And then the pink Mutolith, who I almost forgot about, charged the orange squad. He needed like a 9 or something, but he rolled a 12, so he was really into it. And then the green one tried to charge, but he was not quite as into it. He missed it by like a full 2 inches. And again, didn't want to use the points there because they're already tangled. So that was the charge phase. All right, you guys. So for this fight phase, I started off with Magnus because he technically had the points to interrupt, but I don't know, he didn't really have a reason to interrupt. But anyway, so I started with Magnus anyway. He had 14 attacks, and he was actually able to whittle down quite a few of them, I believe. He killed like 8, maybe, something like that. Yeah. Then I went to Pinky, the Vortex Beast. He had 15 swings. However, out of that, he only killed 4 guys, so really, really lowballed it there. But they had like feel no pains and weirdly good saves. His was also minus nothing, so anyway, not important. Then the Defiler swung. He killed maybe 4 or 5 guys himself because he only has a total of 8 swings. But then the Occult Terminator swung, and they actually killed more guys. I don't actually even know. But so he was left with 8 guys. Then he swung back. He was able to do nothing to the Defiler or the Terminators. He did swing on Magnus, so there was one guy who actually nicked his kneecap, so took a wound. But then Strachan swung because he has the anti-monster for he actually was able to put on 4 damage to Magnus. And then the Death Corps swung on Pinky and did 1 wound, actually, I believe. So I was shooting. No, I think
that's melee.
I think he actually got poked. Yeah. And so they were able to put on 1 wound to Pinky, and that was the fight phase.
Yes, and my swings back were pretty inconsequential. However, Strachan did 4 damage to Magnus, so that's actually pretty cool. Yeah.
That was surprising.
Yeah.
You guys, so for points, being the first turn, I was able to place 1 objective, but obviously those points are not relevant this turn. I did get 2 points for engaging all fronts because I'm in 3 corners. Now, Assassination obviously did not go off. My Zangor guys are still moving around, but soon they'll be able to start sniping characters. And I wasn't able to actually kill off any characters because I didn't actually whittle down the squads quite far enough. So no assassinations just yet. But we've got game to go. And yeah, so just 2 points, actually. Not super great.
Alright, so for the command phase, first off, essentially what happened was... I can't remember. Oh yeah, basically my entire army, they took the order of take cover. And Strachan gave the order for take cover to his squad and to the green squad. I spent 1 CP for the Catachans on the center objective to pass their leadership test. Strachan passed his. What I did after that was after that happened, all my Catachans fell back. The rest of my army moved forward. With the Thousand Suns, we're treating the arms as not a part of its base. So basically, that's why my guys are piling under it, considering that like detail and stuff. But his legs and chassis, yeah. And then after that, it was just me piling everyone to get there. Also, the Death Corps of Kree also fell back from the Mutalith Vortex Beast. And then everyone just shifted forward. Bodies are being made to get into lines and stuff like that. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so for the shooting phase, all my mortars, the yellow one and the teal one, fired at his cultists and successfully wiped them out. Then my pink one fired at his pink Mutalith Vortex Beast and didn't really do anything. Then my rattling snipers fired at him and did nothing, and then they retreated back because they get to move after they shoot. Then my red squad of guardsmen fired at him with their meltas and lasguns. Didn't do anything. Then my ogrins with their ripper guns fired at the Mutalith Vortex Beast. Apparently they get rapid fire 3. I only noticed that after I shot the first time. Then I rolled the next ones. Brought him down to 4 wounds. So that's something. Then after that happened, then my blue guardsman squad fired at the Mutalith Vortex Beast and failed to do anything, which was disappointing. Honestly, me moving forward to try to get within the meltas has screwed me over because the lethal hits from last guns would have been more than enough to finish off most of these enemies. And then I fired everything else at the Thousand Suns Defiler with the orange guardsman squad and the yellow, Acadians shock troops up top at the Thousand Suns did nothing. Then the Death Corps fired at Magnus and did nothing. So that was actually very disappointing and depressing. And that was it. So for the charge phase, the pink Ogrins at the bottom charged his pink Mutalith Vortex Beast. Then my yellow Bullgrins charged his, whatever those things are, his Magnus the Red. Then once that happened, I had my orange squad. I decided to go big. I'm trying to play the next turn. So I had my orange squad multi-charge both his defilers, the white one and the other one, to try to tie them up in combat. And they succeeded. And then Sly Marbo charged the Scarab Occult Terminators. And that was the charge phase. So, combat phase. So essentially what I did for the fight phase was... So, first I started off with the yellow bullgrins, and they beat the nerd with their sticks and brought him down to 5 wounds. They did 6 damage total. Then my pink ogryn hit his Mulus Vortex beasts, and they did absolutely nothing. 2 wounds went through because they rolled poorly, and then he feel no pain both of them. Then Sly Marbo swung and killed another Terminator and wounded another. Then my orange squad did absolutely nothing to the white Thousand Sun Defiler and did nothing to the orange Thousand Sun Defiler. So that's what happened there, but when he swung back, he only killed 7 of them with both of them. That was pretty good. And then Sly Marbo died, but he'll be back in the sequel. And then Magnus, the nerd, swung on the Ogryn Bullgrins, and they have -1 damage, and they have a 4-up invuln because the weapon I gave him, or the shield I gave him. And they all lived. One took 2 wounds. And then the Mulith Vortex Beast swung on my Ogryns with the guns. They were not as lucky, and one got chomped. And that was the fight phase. So, for my turn, I got Cleanse on the home objective thanks to the Ratlings, and I did score 2. I did hold the center objective at the start of the turn, and I did hold the extra one that I generated. I didn't bother to generate another because I need fighting power right now. And that was my turn.
Alright, you guys, so my light blue Defiler ran forward, so that means I'm able to take all 4 corners. Or actually, yes. Okay, just barely. Okay, and then the blue and green Mutalith Vortex Beasts moved forward, and then the Zangor Enlightens popped out from behind the cover finally to shoot stuff, hopefully. And that was the movement phase. Alright, you guys, so for the shooting phase, my 2 Defilers down at the bottom, so the white guy and the orange guy, shot their last cannons and combi bolters into the orange squad and their battle cannon into the yellow squad. So I actually don't know if the battle cannons did anything. Looks like maybe they killed 3 guys from the yellow squad, and they killed probably 3 or 4 guys. Maybe like 2 guys from the orange squad because I did not roll very well. Then the red squad, or my green Terminators, shot at his red squad, taking it from like, I don't know, 8 guys down to 3 guys. Then my Zangor Enlightens shot at them, killing the last guy in the squad and the Preacher, giving me 4 points for assassination. Then Magnus shot his Gaze of Magnus at the Bullgrins, I believe killing them off. I think that was what did it. And then his Zinch's Firestorm was shot at the blue squad, killing off actually a fair chunk. I think it was like 3 or 4 maybe. And then the Mutalist started shooting, so Pinky and the blue guy shot at the red squad, killing off, I don't know, 4 to 6 of them maybe. And the green guy shot at the orange squad, and he was actually able to kill off like 5 of them. And that was the shooting phase. Alright, you guys, so for the charge phase, I started off with Pinky down at the bottom. He charged into the red guys, got in, no problem. Then I rolled for the green Mutalith, and he actually failed with a 3. Super sad. I did use 2 command points because of the mission to re-roll it, and he was able to get in that way. Then the blue Mutalith Vortex Beast charged the orange guys as well, and he actually got in without any trouble. Then Magnus decided to charge Strachan, and he actually failed with a 3, and obviously you can't use the same stratagem twice without something specific. So that was sad, and then I was like, well, so I tried to charge in my Zangor Enlightens into Strachan to try and kill him, and they failed as well, but my green Terminators charged his green Jungle Fighters, so they got in. Of course, they actually did that before Magnus and the Zangors, but that's not important. And that was the charge phase. Alright, you guys, so for the fight phase, I started with Pinky up top. He was able to kill, looks like 3 guardsmen there. And then between the blue and green Mutalith, I was able to kill, 3, 6, 9, 10? Oh no, those are from a different squad. 6 of the Death Corps guys there. And then I swung with my Terminators, but they literally did nothing. They missed every single attack. So unfortunately, the Green Squad survived unscathed. Then his Orange Squad swung. They're actually able to kill off my Orange Defiler. Then the White one swung, and he killed 4 guys. Then he started swinging back. He swung on Pinky, wasn't able to do anything. The 2 guys on the other 2 Mutalisks weren't able to do anything. The Green Squad did 1 wound, which was enough to kill 1 more Terminator, and that was the fight phase. Right, you guys. So for points, in his turn, I killed his Preacher. No. I killed Marbo, and then in my turn, I killed his Preacher, so I have 8 points for assassination right now. In the second battle round. Then I got 4 points for engaging all fronts, because I have something in each corner. And then 5 points for a primary, so I haven't been able to place another one. So, yeah. Yeah. So that was it for points. It's kind of hard to tell the direction everything is going. I'm starting to have chip damage showing on some of my tougher guys.
Let's see what this is.
But he's also starting to run out of guys, so I don't necessarily know where it all stands. But yeah, points-wise, I'm up by a little bit. So yeah.
Alright, so for the command phase, I got 1 Death Corps of Krieg back over there, and I had him fall back and create a line to try to block the Mutalisks. After that, I had, whatchamacallit, so the orders given to everyone was everyone has the armor save thing, +1 to armor save, except the green jungle fighters and the orange guardsmen in the center. So the green jungle fighters that were against the Scarab Occult Terminators ran away and ran onto the objective. Then the orange guardsmen ran, well, they didn't run, but so the green jungle fighters fell back onto the objective. Then the orange guardsmen walked onto the next objective next to the chaos spawn. They're like an inch away if need be. It's like it's not that big of a deal. I'm not sure fully about the terrain, but I do know I can see at least one of the spawn. After that, the Rattling Snipers on the bottom moved towards the bottom to see and shoot. And that was all the movement. Oh, except Strachan, he also moved. And that was it. Alright, so for the shooting phase, first the red squad at the bottom. A plasma pistol from the commanders fired into the Vortex Beast, did nothing. Then, up in the middle, all the mortars targeted his Zangors. And they didn't kill anything. Sadly. And then, the bottom mortars actually did kill a few. Then the orange squad of veterans fired everything into the Zangors, killed a bunch. Then, very depressing. Strachan fired at Magnus, did nothing. Then the squad of Death Corps of Krieg, the teal ones, fired at him, hit him with the Melta, and killed him. But my opponent instead spent a CP to nullify the damage. And then the rest of the shooting only brought him down to 2 wounds. Then I decided to have my other guardsmen fire at him, the blue squad fire at them. They did nothing against him. And then my yellow squad of Cadian shock troops up the top, that is at full strength, deleted the Terminators that were there. And and that was my shooting phase. Alright, so for the charge phase, Strachan charged Magnus, and that was it. Alright, so for the fight phase, Strachan charged into Magnus, and he gets reroll to hit and wound, and he also has anti-monster. So he did a bunch of wounds to my opponent. My opponent failed one of the saves, and then he spent 2 CP to try to reroll it, and that failed, and Magnus died. And we stopped the recording there, but we forgot there was one more combat at the bottom. His Mutalith Vortex Beast crunched 2 of my red Cadian shock troops, and then my platoon commander, or my Cadian commander, did 3 wounds to him with his Power Fist, but my opponent's Feel No Pain saved him from being killed. And that was the fight phase. So, for points, I gained 10 for holding his primary, I gained 4 points for killing Magnus for bringing it down, and I got the basic cleanse again. And yeah, that was a pretty good swing. We decided to call it there. It was getting late on our end, and essentially we did theory hammer it out, and basically based off of what is most likely to happen in chess back and forth, the guard would just barely eke out a win because the OC of the basic guardsman is so high, and even my opponent would get like max assassination, and I would constantly get cleanse on one objectives and stuff, and I would deny him some primary on his next turn and stuff. It was just really ridiculous how basically because of the OC of the basic troopers and stuff, I would get more primary, control more, and I would be guaranteed at least one more bring it down at least. And so we end theory hammered it at 67 to 60, but we're calling it here. It's a very close game for the guard. So MVP, LVP. So for the LVP, the mortars and the catachans. Now the mortars did almost nothing except kill a unit of cultists to deny you the ability to generate more spots, and the jungle fighters, the catachans just got murked into the ground. They didn't have any heavy weapons. They didn't have any special things or good commanders to go with them apart from Strachan. So like they were very ineffective. And if they were Deathcore, it would have been way better. So anyway, so basically, LVP, I'm going to have to give it to the Jungle Fighters, because the Heavy Mortar team nearly wiped out the Zangor squad. Well, actually no, they did, they killed 2 of them, and they wiped out the Cultist squad, which was a strategic thing which stopped you from constantly spawning more objectives to weaken your point. So actually these guys probably helped me win the game, actually. So that's a weird LVP spot to be. They were some of the most strategically important, but I didn't like what they did. So Catachan were my LVP. The only reason I would bring these guys is just as a bodyguard for Strachan. Nothing else. Then, LVP. It's a tough one. Ironhand Strachan killed Magnus. He killed quite a lot, really, on his own. Yeah, in his own turn, he was charged. He did some damage. Who charged them? Who was dumb enough to charge them? No, they were just shot up. But he charged. He killed Magnus, so that is a big achievement. The other thing that was a big deal, the Orange Death Corps squad. These guys never died. The Marshal gave his squad 5-up Feel No Pains. That was ridiculous. And the Death Corps troopers were generating back a D3 each turn, and in my command phases, their buffs to shooting and stuff, really good. These are actually some of the best troopers in the game, this combination. So, you know what? Overall, LVP, these guys held the line from a lot of ridiculous damage. These were such a tar pit. So I'll give it to them. Despite Iron Hand pulling out a lot of points, these guys held back all that death. So that's me. What about you?
Yes, so for me, yeah, it was interesting. So LVP for me is not necessarily because he didn't do anything, but I don't know. I think he's just a lot of points for not doing a lot, which was Magnus. I don't know. He just didn't seem that good for being like 400 something points, and you know, a Demon Primarch. So it seemed kind of like a letdown, but of course the rework of psychic powers might not have been great. I'm sure when the Thousand Suns book comes out, he'll be a lot better. But yeah, so I didn't super care for Magnus. Technically, you could say the cultists maybe were LVP because they actually literally did nothing. But I mean, they're basically cannon fodder, so they died, and that's technically what they're there for. So yeah, but I think Magnus would be LVP for his points. I don't think he was worth taking at all. Because for his points, I could take 3 Mutilith Vortex Beasts, which I did take. And I would actually say they're the MVPs here. They did a lot of shooting damage. They kind of did a lot of melee damage. I used their no AP thing. And so they had a lot of swings. So I thought they were really good. But yeah, so I would say Mutalists were my MVPs. I don't think there's really much of a contention for that. Maybe the Terminators, but I don't know. Probably not. So yeah, so I think the Vortex Beasts were probably MVPs. They were able to constantly do regular damage. They did a series of mortal wounds. They actually all survived to the end, even Pinky, and he just kept on taking it to the face.
He got lucky, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I would say the Mutalists were definitely the MVPs of this list. And maybe the book, honestly. I don't know. I'm sure someone else could probably do better with them. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I would say.
Right. Overall thoughts on the game. So, as far as an all-infantry guard, the OC is such a big deal. 3 OC, just because of the regimental standards. Like, you could kill a lot of me, but I could just sit on there, and the objective that had the 2, whatchamacallit, Chaos Spawns on it, one guy could have held it from, because there were 3 OC, and each of those spawns were 1. And so, 3 beats 2. The other thing is how tough the guardsmen were, especially with the order of that increases their save. And it's not a cover, it increases their save flat. So I was running around with like huge blocks of 3-up armor saves, essentially, because of cover and things like that. And the Feel No Pains was really great. The guardsmen, my goodness, the Death Cords, the Kriegs, those guys were a reliable tar pit, and they could actually do some pretty good damage, but I played them poorly. One of the things I will say is that I probably could have wiped you out on the second turn if I didn't really try to rely on my melta-guns. That was the big thing. If I would have kept my guys where they, the majority of my squads where they were, and not moved them, the lethal hits I would have automatically gotten would have probably deleted some of your Mutalisks. The pink one would have died, because I just S6 to hit. They don't have the greatest saves, it's their toughness. So if you had to take an extra 8 saves on a 4-up, just flat there, I would have died. And so I guess learning how to play them properly, like last comes the lethal hits. So after taking the first original positions, I should have just shot at everything that was nearby and not moved. The front line falling back, and then the rest of them being able to deal with that and stuff, that was pretty good. The Catachans, however, were disappointing. It's just their loadout kit. They can only have flamers, so that was a bit irritating. If I brought like some tougher heavy weapons, probably would have been a different game. I could have just had these heavy weapons right here and just snipe the Vortex Beasts or the vehicles. Yeah, the heavy weapons just show up on the corner and just snipe and do some ridiculous damage and stuff, but no. In the end, I would have had to have exposed them to danger, and the no line of sight stuff. Ugh. That ended up being better, but yeah. Overall guard, I'm surprised at how tanky they can be, how tough the infantry can be, and if you play them right, they can take down everything with the lethal hits. And I win by playing the objective. That's how you win. You don't win by killing, you win by playing the objective. So what about you?
Yeah, so trying to think. So I still like the Mutalith Vortex Beasts. So last game I took 1 and 1 Defiler, and then I was like, I would definitely just take more of those, because the Rubric Marines and the Terminators really wasn't super great, but of course you took an all vehicle list, so. And then this time you took an all infantry list, and I took a really just kind of chunky list, like vehicles and monsters and whatever. And so I think the Vortex Beasts are still really good. They just have radius damage. They do buffs to casters near them. They have good shooting range of damage, either really heavy hit, a blast, or flamers. Then they have good damage with like their melee. Not like the greatest, like with the 15 attack one, because it has no AP, but so I still think they're pretty good, and they're relatively cheap, I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard because they have so few units. So the Zangors were interesting because they have precision on their great bows, but they were only AP 1. So that may not always be super useful. I didn't get a lot of chances to do stuff with them here. they technically, if you move within 9 inches of them, can make a free move. So I could have done that, but I just didn't think about it, and so they could have just popped behind the cover, so they actually would have all been alive still. But yeah, so I don't know. I didn't care for Magnus. The Defilers did okay in their damage, like shooting this time around, but their melee was not as exciting as I was hoping it would be.
Yeah. I mean, well, against the huge tar pits I had, it's like these guys, like you had AP -3. They would have easily destroyed Space Marines or other things, but like...
Yeah, so I mean, their claws had the d6 + 1 damage, their scourges were 2 damage, and were basically 3 extra attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you know, they were okay, like, but again, it was just hordes of numbers they were trying to squish. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe the list is a little bit more of a hybrid, maybe 1 or 2 squads of Terminators with some Zangors and some... Yeah, I still don't know. maybe try some of their other vehicles, I don't know. But like their rubrics, I did not... Like maybe if you took 1 or 2 squads and just like base squads, just as like things to have roaming around the table, because they're slow too. So I don't know. I guess I'm still trying to get a grip on what Thousand Suns are good for. Because with Psychic now, you know, it's been toned down a lot, I think, the Psychic stuff. Because now it just automatically goes off. It's just a shooting attack or a melee attack.
Yeah. Based off recent codexes that I still don't have, the Games Workshop cannot help but overcomplicate the game. It's like it's what they all know. So like, I expect that when the Thousand Suns book comes out, they're going to be the Psychic Masters, and it's going to be like completely alter the game how it works. That's what probably. I think. Yeah.
But yeah, so I do like them. I think there's definitely 1 or 2 like solid lists that you can probably make here. I have not figured out what that is yet. But I believe it exists. I think Mutalith, Vortex Beasts are a part of that.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I think. And yeah, so that's what I would say. I do like them. I think you really gotta finagle them for a little bit.
All right then. So like the video if you like the video, share if you want to share it, and more to come. No idea what's happening next week, but we're gonna have fun with it. Bye.